Okay, here we go.
So, hello everyone. This is the third podcast of the Theory Center in Bielefeld, 5 questions with the Theory Center. And this is Zoltán Boldizsák-Simon.
And you might know us already. I'm Lars Deiler, and our guest is
Gary Shaw.
So, Gary is a professor at Wesleyan University, professor of history. And our first question is, how would you explain to your children what job their dad is doing?
I always say I don't really have a job. I never had a job. I just somehow got lucky. I was a student, and I kind of, at a certain period, people started putting money into my account, and I'd never have had a good feeling of the relationship between the money and what I do. So I don't have a job.
Okay. Lars?
It's great. How did you come to this brilliant state in life? How did you come to what you're doing now?
Which is not your job.
Yeah.
I managed not to have a job.
Well, everybody will probably ask this question, how do I get to a stage that money comes to your account and you don't have to do a job? No, but seriously, I mean, how did you come to what you're professionally doing now?
Well, I mean, I do a few different things, and their relation is loose. So I'm a medievalist, so I teach medieval history, I write a medieval history, and then I do theory of history. And it's hard to remember, even for me now, that those started out kind of related. I was a philosophy and history undergraduate, and at the end of my philosophy was sort of the main thing, because history was sort of easy. Philosophy was hard, so I thought, that's where the truth is. But at the end of my, towards the end of my undergraduate career, I realized the solution to philosophy was history, and that everything was in that sort of flux, so you had to work it out historically. And so that's when I went to graduate school, and I switched to do the history side, and just did that in the normal way, and then the luck comes back in that when I started looking for a job, Wesleyan had this position, and they were one of the few places where my having the philosophy part wasn't a bad thing in the background. They actually were kind of interested in it, so I was able to keep these two things sort of in operation. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, third question then. So we heard that you have an idea, and this idea is that it's all just one thing. What is that thing?
It's all just one thing. I don't know that there's only one kind of stuff. If that's what I would want to say.
Somebody told us that.
Yeah, one kind of stuff. That's what I say. There's one kind of stuff.
What kind of stuff?
And
okay, what's that stuff? Or what kind of stuff is that stuff?
All the stuff that is of the same kind. And that means for me, and I say it to myself to remind myself that anything might be brought into relation with anything else, and that everything that there is in history or anything is the configurations of those different things which are all possibly connected. So the idea is probably, so you can't say, language is separate from the world, or ideas are separate from matter. There's nothing, those are things we're doing within the one kind because we have some use for it. But it means that some possibility always to reconnect anything with anything else. And that's
because it's all just one kind of stuff.
Because it's one kind of stuff.
Yeah. So maybe this answers already the next question, but in which direction do you think theoretical work on history is going in the years to come?
Well, that's, I'd say, still a very hard question for me to answer. I feel like after the linguistic sort of stopped turning, there was a bit of flux, and then this sort of what we called, or at least I was calling, the return to the real seemed to come in all kinds of different ways. Science was okay again. The idea of actually doing the digital somehow got connected a bit with the real, even though there's no special reason, I think, to do that. Theory itself became more methodological, I think, for many historians. So they both like theory more than they used to. It's not a bad word, even in the United States, I'd say, for many. But it's not as refined or obscure of sort of philosophical theory that historians have been most engaged with. So then Now, though, I'm not quite sure. I feel like there's a kind of ethico-political piece that's maybe coming in, and the issues around temporality, I think, are connecting to that in kind of interesting ways. But I'm actually a little uncertain about direction right now.
Okay, so fifth question, it's the lightning round. So we just ask either or questions and you just name your preference.
We start with the first.
Yeah, we started first with a question which is kind of an easy one. So some warm-up lightning round question. Reading or writing?
Writing.
That was quick. Next question I don't dare to ask because half of the world will beat us up. But Canada or US?
Canada.
Okay. Well, we come to the next one.
Third question. Donald Davidson or George Herbert Mead?
Who? Davidson.
Okay. The medieval or the present?
Even though it's probably just,
same thing.
one kind of stuff.
Yes, what kind of stuff?
The medieval. I don't know. I don't like saying that as an answer.
Okay.
And the last one is history or theory?
Oh, history.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you very much, Gary.